Hey everyone, Chris here, and this is the Supersapiens continuous glucose monitor. So it's made by a medical company called Abbott, who originally developed it for diabetics, and Supersapiens came along and said, can we make this applicable to triathlon, cyclists, endurance sports? And so they now make this product where you can subscribe and you get one of these sensors every 2 weeks. So that's how long the battery lasts, and it syncs to the Supersapiens app on your phone, and that will tell you your blood glucose levels. And so you can keep track of those, and when you eat, when you exercise, you can work out what works well for you, what gets you in the so-called glucose performance zone where you've got plenty of energy. And so that's the product. I've been trying it for around 3 weeks now, and I will show you the whole process. So from me sticking it on, using the app, taking it off, all of that will be contained in this video, and you can see what you think. If you want to jump around the videos, you can use the chapter markers at the bottom to jump to specific places, but otherwise just follow it through and you'll see my whole journey trying out this product. Got my iPhone here, and I'm going to head over to the App Store and download the Supersapiens app. So I can do this now apparently, and then I'll be ready for when everything gets set up. Anyway, let's open up the app and see what happens. Okay. And I need to sign up for an account. Okay, so I've signed up for my account, and it now says I need to confirm it via email. Okay, I'm in, and now it wants to connect to Apple Health. Okay, I think I'm into the app now. I assume all of this will make more sense when I've actually got some data in here. Okay, so the app is ready to go. So I just need to wait for the sensor to turn up now, and then I can stick it on and we can get started. Moved into the bathroom. I have cleaned my arm, ready to go. It says avoid moles, but if you look at my arm, I don't know if that will show up on the camera. It's so covered in freckles. How would I know? We'll give it a go anyway. So I need to peel the label on my sensor. I think that's the right thing. Okay, taken that off. There we go. And then I need to take the applicator out, or remove the cap. Okay, yeah, and then I think I just push this into it. I don't know if it has to line up somehow. Okay, yeah, that clicked into place pretty firmly. So that sounds good. And then number 5, I'm going to pull it out. Now it's ready to apply. Now I just push it into my arm. I'm pretty nervous about this. I don't like needles, and this thing is going to shove a needle in me. I'm hoping being on camera will give me confidence. But now that it comes to press it in, turns out the answer is no. Also, I'm aware that you can't see my head, but you'll be able to see my arm better, so it's totally worth it. Who wants to see my face? Wow, that's a big needle. Oh man. You know, I've already had my COVID jabs. It shouldn't be that bad, but it is. I think I just pull the thing off. Oh, looks unpleasant. Do I just kind of screw that lid back on? Man, this thing is big. Did not think it would be that big. Oh, got a bit of a shake on now. That was unpleasant, I'm not gonna lie. So I pulled it off. So now I'm on step 9. Make sure it's secure. Put the cap back on the biosensor applicator. We've done that. See disposal, we'll do that off camera later. Oh. Seems pretty secure. It's not quite at the back, but I think it will do. So need to watch out for bleeding and bruising, and whether I trap some little hairs in there. But as I say, like, what are you supposed to do? We've got a regular man's arm with extra freckles. It's on, so let's try and pair it with the app now. Okay, so let's go into the Supersapiens app and pair new device. It's a sensor. To pair the sensor, press the scan button. What's the scan button? Oh, that really hurts. Is that... Bring the phone close to the sensor. So I have to... Does that look like a scan button? I guess it is. Do I need to get in there with like a needle or something? What have I got with a tiny point in here? Maybe the answer is nothing. Yeah, that was not going to work. What's the scan button? Is that central thing the scan button? I think it is. There's that tiny rivet there. Oh. Maybe I have pressed it. Hold your biosensor to the top back part of your iPhone. Oh yeah, there we go. Paired. So the biosensor is warming up and it will become active in around 60 minutes. Done. Go on, then we'll have notifications. Okay, I think, man, my arm's pretty sore, but the sensor has paired, so we'll see how it goes, I guess. Sensor has warmed up and it's paired with the app, so I've currently got a reading of 92. Seems lower than the screenshots, but I am pretty hungry, so I'm about to jump on my bike and have something to eat while I go, and we'll see what happens to the numbers. So I'm 90 minutes into my bike ride. I had an OTE Duo bar, which is like 40 grams of carbohydrates, and my blood glucose has gone up, so you can see it. Oh, under 5, that was a spike, and then I think it's going down as I'm continuing the cycle. Might eat a bit more, might not. Try and make it home without, probably, so I can save the calories. It's a lovely evening here in Leeds, and oh, now it's gone down to 98. The readings seem to vary quite a lot. I don't know if it's just downloading new data or what's going on. But I'm going to finish the ride and then we'll see what the results are like. Just finished the ride, so did 2.5 hours in total, so an hour extra. I haven't eaten anything. Stuff to drink. Glucose level is now at 106. So yeah, I don't know, like the graph suggests it's gone down, but the number itself suggests it's gone up. So we'll have to go home and analyse that, I think. Just had the sensor on for 24 hours now, getting loads of data into the app. which my daughter thinks is quite funny. You might be able to hear her laughing in the background. Going swimming tomorrow, so I've put the performance patch, I think it's called, over the top. It's not really explained what it is in the box, but it looks like a thing to protect it when you're swimming. A couple of people in the Facebook group seem to suggesting that, and it feels a bit more like a plaster now rather than just this thing that I might knock off. So hopefully it might feel a bit more secure and protected. We're inside the app here, and been using it for a while now, so we can just pinch in to scroll, I think. Yeah, so that was, this was my first bike ride. We can just expand that. 78% inside the glucose performance zone. I think that's good. So yeah, lots of stuff in the red zone. And down here I can get my average glucose for the event, glucose variability. So in general we want that to be lower, and the min and the max. And then some stuff on pre-event glucose loading as well. So what I was doing in the 12 and 24 hours in the run up to the event. We can also see what happens when I sleep. So that looks like quite a good night's sleep because it's in this off hours target range. And then we could look at a meal again here. Clearly I got a big spike in glucose, so went above my off hours target. What else have we got in here? Let's see if we can find a race. So let's see, I've got some big gaps here. In fact, so this is my latest sensor, and there's a ton of gaps. I think it took me about 24 hours between them, but here just kept losing stuff, and it didn't matter how many times I scanned to tap, it wasn't working. Okay, here, so this is a 6-hour bike ride I did. You can see my glucose crashed in the middle of it. Now, what's weird is I didn't really feel it, but I was tired for the kind of end third of the event. So I don't know if that was some kind of predictor for a later, but actually the last 2 hours really hard, but my blood glucose was very level and in the performance zone there. And I felt fine in this early bit, so whether that's an early warning indicator, I'm not sure. But my blood glucose level and the effort level didn't really match up at the time, but maybe it's just a delay there, and it just crashed after I ate loads at the start. So quite high glucose variability, and then can we zoom in on this meal as well? So this is the meal I had afterwards, which case blood glucose level went really high and then really low, which is weird because I'm pretty sure I got the meal time correct. So maybe that was from the stuff I was eating on the bike. But then it's not clear why it went down, so I'm not really sure what to gain from that. And then I think somewhere I've got, let's try and find my other race. So I think that was the time I didn't. Okay, yeah. So here, this was the summer mile, and so this suggests I was only in the blood performance zone for 34% of the time because it was actually too high. I'd overfueled. I had an OTE bar and some Red Bull, and apparently I had too much blood glucose then. But I ran really well, so not sure that was really a performance hinderer there. And so yeah, that was the summer mile. Is there anything else? I think at this point we start losing a lot of data because this sensor just has a bunch of holes in it. So really frustrating there. Didn't have any data for this swim, and then didn't seem to matter how many times I used tap to scan, couldn't get the data back. And I think this here, what day are we on here? If we can find that again. Saturday, yeah. So this was my adventure race, unfortunately, and I have very little data for it the whole time because the sensor just hasn't worked. So not super useful then. Let's go back and look at an event again. So let's take this run, for example. Yeah, again, it'll tell me if I'm in the glucose performance zone. I'm not sure how that interacts with like fasted training, but potentially useful to see like what foods did I eat before and what did it do to my glucose variability and how my preloading worked. Then we've got the insights tab, so I can see, for example, what my average glucose is per week and what my glucose variability is doing over time as well, and then where I am in my off hours glucose zone, so I can go day by day on that. And that's it for the insights tab. And then if you just want to get to a list of your events, go to the events tab and you can easily scroll through and find all of your events. Sensor has expired, so it's time to take it off. I had a look on the internet and someone suggested rubbing baby oil. First I'm just going to take this performance patch off, peels off fine. Still got a bit of residue we should be able to wash off. Video on the internet somewhere said use baby oil to try and dissolve the glue, or coconut oil. I haven't got either of those. I've got groundnut oil. We're about to find out if that will do the same thing. So I'm just going to get some on here. In theory, this is going to dissolve the glue a little, or if not, I'm just going to end up with a very oily arm. But I think groundnut's fairly loose in flavour. That's looking good. So I'm going to give that 5 minutes and then we'll come back and try and take it off. Giving it a couple of minutes to melt, and so now I'm just going to try and pull it off. Oh, yeah, that was genuinely painless. That was fine. A little red mark there. Ooh, not so if you can see it in the shadow. In general, it looks fine. Remember, this is a battery, so can't go in the regular bin. It needs to go in whatever battery bin however you dispose of them in your local area. Might give that a bit of a rub, a bit of a wash down, try and get the oil off, if nothing else. Yeah, it feels a bit weird, but overall fine, not a big deal to get it off. And I must try and remember where I put it on, because it would be great, I think, to get it further around in the back next time. Maybe I'll leave that mark on so that I know where to stick the next one. Okay, time to do the second sensor. Hopefully I can still remember how to do it. hopefully I can get it a bit further to the back this time. I think I did it there. Actually want it right on the back. So I think there is where I want it. Okay. Yeah, that looks a bit further to the back. Maybe a bit lower down. And now I need to go pair this one with the app. That was painless. Didn't experience anything there. I'm going to stick the performance patch straight on it this time as well, because that just made the whole thing feel a lot more secure. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of time to settle in, and then I'll stick the performance patch on. Just got an issue here where it says scan to fill the gaps, and I've got some gaps in my data here. I think that one's got a while ago. Not sure what happened there, but this one's just when I've been for a swim just now. So I hit the scan thing and do the scan, and it says okay, but then the gap is still here. So don't know what's going on there. Doesn't seem like it is going to fill the gap. Also, just in general, I'm pretty annoyed with here. I got it a bit further around to the back of my arm this time, and I thought it might be better, but it's been pretty uncomfortable now. And I put it on yesterday morning, so it's been on for 36 hours, and it's still pretty uncomfortable. Like, it's not painful to apply, but then it just, your arm goes sore, and then it just hurts a bit when it's on. Okay, just run into another issue. So I think yesterday I was like, well, I have this, there, got this gap here, don't know what that's about, and then I got another gap when I was at swimming, and then I've got this gap here again. So for some reason between 4.5 4 there's a gap, and again it says scan to fill gaps, so let's go do that. Done. It says complete, but the gap is still there. So I'm supposed to keep data for 8 hours, but doesn't seem to be recovering any of this data. I'm just getting these gaps where it goes missing. This sensor is just dead, so I'm getting intermittent readings, but most of it just got nothing for. Again, tried to scan, did the tap to scan, and I just get this error every time. If I go view FAQ, then I get a 404 on the page, so not much help there, and all my data is still missing. So yeah, this sensor is just a write-off. I'm gonna take this sensor off. I'm only, I think I put it on like Wednesday, so I'm only 5 days in, but it's just uncomfortable, and this data keeps dropping out, and I'm annoyed at that, and so I'm just gonna take the thing off. That's the patch done, and again, I'm gonna, this oil strategy worked quite well last time. You can give that a couple of minutes and then pull it out. Okay. This did not come out as easy as the first one. Let's try a bit more. I'm trying to really get into the edge. It's annoying just when I'm like, yes, finally get this thing out of my arm. Okay, let's give that a couple more minutes again. Alrighty, let's give this another go. Give the area a quick wipe. So most of the glue is still stuck to my arm, but at least the device is off. It does not want to come off. Maybe I can give it a scrub with some water. I might leave the arm to settle for a little bit. They're clearly not designed to come off this early. Couple of common questions about the product. So in terms of installation, the question like, have I put it in the right place? You're supposed to get it on the back of your arm. And somewhere like you're supposed to avoid moles and hair to try and make it as comfortable as possible. I find that really difficult because if you look at my arm, it's covered in freckles and moles. So really finding a place for it was a bit different. And originally I had it a bit further round on here, and then I got it a bit further towards the back. So it's more like at the back now when my arms are facing that way. It was actually slightly more comfortable when it was more on the side, but a bit more inconvenient. So yeah, I did my best to get it in the right place, but it is hard, and you only get one shot at it because you can't take it off and put it on. Once it's in there, you just have to leave it or buy a new one, which is pretty expensive. In terms of glucose levels versus blood glucose levels, that's an important one because, as you might know, we've got about 90 minutes of stored glycogen in the body, and to be clear, this isn't tracking that. So it's not like as you run a marathon, say, you can watch your glucose levels go down to 0, and that's when you know you're in trouble. It only monitors the glucose levels in your blood. So it'll tell you if you've eaten recently, it'll tell you what's going on with exercise in terms of the body taking that glycogen and putting it into the blood, but it's not measuring your stored glycogen levels. So it won't tell you how much energy you've got, it'll just tell you how much energy is in the blood right now. So that's worth noting in terms of what you get out of the data. In terms of the swim, I've worn this in the pool, I've worn it under a wetsuit, so both with and without a wetsuit in the pool, always with this patch on the top. Haven't tried it without the patch, but with the patch it works really well. The patch stays in place, so I've been in the lake, in the pool, and that works fine. In terms of cancelling my subscription, that was kind of medium. I went onto the website and went to the cancellation link, and as soon as I clicked on that, it said, actually, you can't cancel online, you have to email us. So I had to email them. They came back and said, okay, what's wrong? But they did cancel it pretty quickly, and I think they got back to me the same day. This may have changed since time of recording, but currently you've got to email them and have a brief conversation to get it cancelled. In terms of getting it synced to, say, a watch, so could you have it live in a race? That depends. So they've just released the beta version of the Garmin app, so it only works with Garmin, and I think it only works with the newest generation. So I'm using the Forerunner 935, and the Garmin Connect app said it's only compatible with the 945. So it doesn't look like it would work on this, which is annoying. But it's also worth mentioning that your watch or your bike computer or whatever won't connect directly to the sensor. Your sensor will only connect to the phone, and then the phone will relay it. So if you're thinking, okay, well, I'm going to do Ironman and I'm going to go out and buy the latest Garmin watch or bike computer and get it through there, be aware that you will also need your phone on you at all times, because the sensor needs to relay to the phone, and the phone then needs to relay to the watch. So if you don't take your phone on whatever endurance event you're doing, then you won't be able to see it on your sports watch or bike computer or whatever you're using. So that's my experience of the Supersapiens Abbott Libre continuous glucose monitor. It did have some nice upside in that it was a gentle reminder of the importance of fueling and just making sure I'm getting that lovely glucose into my body to make sure I've got the energy. But I won't be continuing because there's a couple of downsides for me. One is that I don't see the benefit of the data that much. Like, I can go in and I can see I eat something, my blood glucose level goes up, then my body stores it and it comes back down, and I can watch what happens in the exercises. But I kind of expected the Supersapiens app to come up with some insights for me, and it doesn't. It just seems to give me the data and I need to work it out, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with that data. It's basically what I thought would happen from everything I know about nutrition and coaching, is that when I eat, my blood glucose level goes up and then the body brings it back down, and that's what you would expect to happen. So not a huge fan of the data at present. It might be better by the time you watch this. I also just find the sensor painful. Like, it's painless to stick it in. That was fine. Once you get past the needle, no problems there. But it's just uncomfortable. Like, sometimes just when I'm moving my arm or in bed last night, it was just annoying and uncomfortable. And maybe there's bits of positioning I could do to improve that comfort. But it's like £50 a sensor, and you only get one go to put it in. So you could easily blow through hundreds of pounds of sensors just trying to find that correct spot. And it's annoying to have this thing on my arm. Like, the first few days I was really cautious about it, and then I thought, no, it'll be fine, I'll just start sleeping on it ultimately. But it actually is just there all the time, and it's a bit annoying. And it's a cost benefit thing, right? Like, if I was a type 1 diabetic and really needed this information, it would be totally worth it to have that information there. But as a triathlete who my body just manages its glucose levels healthily anyway, for me it's not really worth having it constantly there when I'm trying to sleep on my side. It's also quite expensive, right? Like, it's a pretty big investment, and the problem is if you get it like this sensor where I'm constantly getting these like missing data blackout bits, then, what do I do about this? Do I take it off and get another sensor? Because then that gets really expensive if some of the sensors just don't work or just haven't got them right. They're not giving readings for some reason. I need to swap them out. Then it's not just then the £100 a month or whatever it is, but I'm constantly, some of the sensors just need replacing straight away because they're in the wrong position or because they're just giving these data gaps. Then that gets super expensive. And I'm also tired of it draining my phone battery. I use an iPhone. iPhone batteries aren't very good anyway. Like, you maybe get 2 days out of them if you're lucky, usually less. But right now I'm struggling to just get a whole day. So from when I unplug it at 7 in the morning to getting to bed, I'm getting really down to the bottom of the battery. And when I go into the battery list, I can see that the Supersapiens app is taking up quite a lot of background activity, so that's frustrating as well. So that's not to say that this isn't a great product, but it certainly isn't for me. I'm not going to be continuing it because it just isn't worth it for me at this time. Maybe that'll change in the future and I'll post a new video, but until then, that is my verdict. Hopefully that was useful. If so, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you're into endurance sport and all things technical and psychological around that, then hit the subscribe button, because that's what my channel is all about, and I would love to see you in another video.